Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. It's time to document the mod collection and demo shop, which this week had a lot of hidden surprises. Now let's kick it off with this SG standard. They called it two-tone highlighter. I think we've seen this finish before, but man, is that a blinding finish or what? You've got that highlighter greenish / yellow hue to it, but then the pairing of the all blacked out everything gives it that whole two-tone effect that they're talking about. I think a straight up unbound ebony fretboard on this example would look excellent as well. But if you look around our edges, that actually has black sides. Not that we get a good photo of that otherwise. So then when you flip over to the back and you see kind of a, I'm not quite sure what you would call this. Is it pinstriping? Is it a double extended stinger? You tell me. But it looks like they did that to give it the whole black edge on the neck as well as on the sides of the guitar. It is certainly a unique piece. That didn't take long to find a new home at $2,200. Next up, we've got a Tealtallic Firebird custom. So I've documented countless Les Paul customs. We recently did the Explorer custom and the SG custom. So naturally, even though I don't like the headstocks on the Firebird customs, we need to document one of these. Because maybe it's like the Explorer custom and its neck profile will surprise me or something. So I'm keeping my eye out for something special here, but it's basically a greenish teal color. It looks good with the gold hardware. However, I think just the straight up ebony finish would probably look better. But it's always nice to see more colors of these exist. But at least this one does have a matching headstock. Sitting over here is Professor Pop 50 Standard. I like what they did there, you know, Dr. Pepper, Professor Pop. Yeah. But of course, you've got that syrupy cola color going on here with the matching pickup rings and gold hardware. However, the back, it falls a little bit flat. It's a brown color, but hear me out, guys, an aluminum color on the back. Kind of like the interior of a pop can. Speaking of which, if anybody has a Pepsi Les Paul, I would like to add one of those to my collection just because they're so goofy. But now the spooky one from our intro today, the Dusky Shark SG Special. So on launch day, I saw this and I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Kind of silver bursty, but not at the same time. I mean, they're trying to make it look like a friendly shark. They've got a white bottom with the gray topper. They're pretty cool little guys. So they had to find a way to incorporate that on an SG. I'm not exactly sure I like the way it turned out, but I like that they're trying new things. Because check out the back. We have the burst on the back of the body, but not on the neck. But then again, here on the headstock, it's unique. And you've got a completely blacked out headstock. But filming today, I just realized this is one of those Tony Iommi SGs. So normally they look like this. But now they've swapped out our pickups for those toaster pastry P90s. And we still have the extended rings around them. And it looks like some sort of an upgraded intonatable wrap tail piece. So somewhere in the process, we lost the pick guard. But was this worth paying a premium on top of a premium? Let's find out. Yes, it was. Somebody loved it. But if you guys thought my flip-flop Explorer custom was crazy, what about this one? Dinner Mint Sparkle. Being offered at $4,700. We've got this ridiculous swirl paint job. It's kind of cool though. Sparkle silver with a little bit of a black layer and then a metallic red layer. That's gonna have a lot of different colors going on for it. And then the blindingly white plastics was an interesting touch, but then a see-through pick guard. I like it because you can see the continuation of the design, but as far as seeing the routes, I'm not so sure about that. But then the back was very similar to my flip-flop. But hey, check that out, red-colored Gibson logo. And then I'm not entirely too sure what they're showing us here. Is that a scratch in the pick guard? Is it something embedded within the finish, or is it finish checking? It did sell, so maybe somebody can let us know. Next up, Les Paul Classic Satin Deep Purple. Had I not known any better, I'd probably say that's an ebony finish. But it's got the whole voodoo vibe going on. Les Paul custom style pick guard with a black back. But how about Faded Tiger Sparkle on a 50 Standard? Offered at $2,800. What I'm betting we have right here is some sort of a see-through metallic finish. So you're going to get the best of both worlds. A little bit of a metallic shine / sparkle with the flame top underneath. And they've upgraded us to Dirty Fingers pickups. And you've got a fantastically figured mahogany back. The orange top with the natural back, that is awesome. Especially since you have complementing black plastics. But if you guys thought that Ebony SG custom was sweet, check out Metal Blueberry. It's not quite the usual Pelham blue that you might see. It's a little bit darker than that, with more of a metallic hue. Mix that with the gold hardware, I think it looks pretty sharp. However, I'm not sure if it's cooler than the ebony finish though, now that I've had it in person. At the time of recording, it is available if you're interested. But here's another interesting one, Silver Glimmer. It's a Les Paul Classic at $2,300. This just looks like a silver Les Paul that's been let out in the sun and the clear coat has aged. It's got a certain vibe to it, I dig it. The yellowed binding with the still slightly pure silver top with a matching headstock logo. But interestingly, a black back, so we've got a cool side profile shot. The standard 60s was offered in pewter metallic. Again, just kind of looked like black from afar, but now that I see it, okay, it's kind of like a cool black sparkle, but only on the top. Interesting choice to leave that back red. I'm not entirely surprised that it's still available at the time of recording. Next up for 4200, we have a regular black Les Paul custom that had the blackout treatment. That seems to be the running theme this week. But we've got a Dirty Fingers in the bridge and a P94 in the neck. Cool. But what's really strange is this one's from 2019. That one's definitely been sitting in the reject pile for a while. Then Gibson hits us with this random 61 SG Standard that they slapped a Bigsby B5 on it for good measure, as well as a 330 in Spicy Marmalade finish. Gibson isn't currently making the 330. This one is from late 2020. So maybe it's a remade Lovell, which we talked about in this episode. There was also a Satin Natural Tribute. It has a pretty interesting top. They used their aged hardware with their vintage style logo, and it's got a cool repeating serial number, and they upgraded you to a hardshell case, as well as a 70s Explorer in a classic white finish. Top and back is the same, but what they changed were the knobs, color of hardware, and our pickup rings, as well as the pickguard material. And finally, a 60s Cherry Les Paul Standard. You know, that's actually quite cool. I like that. Almost makes it look like it has a mahogany top, even though it doesn't. But this one also has a cool figured back. So alright, pretty good offerings this week from the mod collection. Maybe not the craziest we've ever seen, but something to be happy about seeing. Now let's jump over to the demo shop. So by far the oddest thing they listed was this Pelham Blue SG Standard with what they called pink caged jungle cat pickup covers. So it's kind of like the Croco Melon we documented in this episode. They use some sort of a fancy pickup topper over it that makes it look like a cheetah. There's a slight pink hue to it, I'm not exactly sure. But besides that, again, we've got the black chrome with the white plastics here, and you don't normally see Pelham Blue on stock SG Standards. They used to offer it on the special, but I think they just recently discontinued that option. So that's a fun option for somebody. Going off our whole slightly pinkish hue, here's an SG Modern. It's an okay top, but they once again blacked everything out and gave us pink pickup rings. Viewing this standard 50s P90, you might ask, hey Trogly, why are you pointing this thing out? It's not really all that exciting besides being a great guitar. It's because it has a lefty truss rod cover put on it. So now you can read it while you're playing instead of the audience. It kind of has a dizzying effect going on here. They really were getting creative this week. We had the radiator grill pickup covers on this golden Les Paul with the swapped out knobs and tortoiseshell pickguard. They also did the same treatment to the back plates. The Silverburst Custom was treated to gold hardware, which you don't always see on Silverbursts. I think this one was part of the let's see how ugly we can make it contest, which actually is a thing. But then I was really surprised to see an Access Standard in a custom finish, gunmetal. So you've got your Floyd Rose and all the other cool Les Paul Access things that come with that, like the swoop on the back, as well as the heel itself, and the Apex head carve doing its thing back here. But really cool to see that light gunmetal finish. Here's another SG Modern that got Halloween treatment. And I was surprised to see this. The new Elvis signature guitars. They did the Dove and the SJ200. That was about a year or so ago. And I thought those were going to be big top sellers, but then they made them staying in production rather than limited edition. And I never really heard anybody talk about these after that. But I think this is the first one we've seen show up in the demo shop, which kind of makes me sad because I would have much rather have seen a cool custom color Elvis show up. And then lastly, this interesting standard 60s. Unburst top, but it just has nice wood grain. I like that one. But as far as the things that sold instantly, a ridiculously nice top on this Lemon Burst AAA. But oh wow, I didn't even realize those were P94 pickups on top of it, and the gold hardware would be new as well. That was worth the price. The Slash model had a good top with a fair price. And then there was the 70s Flying V. Rather unassuming at first, but when you've really got into the nitty-gritty detail photos, you can see it had a shelf routed out right here. It's either that or the wood splintered. I was like that on my first 60 Standard I reviewed back when they were brand new in 2019. But then we've got like some sort of a buffing compound or maybe even blood on the side of the nut over here. And then it almost looks like this guitar wasn't fully routed to the depth that it normally is for the nut. It's either that or there's some strange reflections going on, but it doesn't look like we've cut all the way through the binding yet. So good thing QC caught that one. But now we can flip over to the European side of things, which to be honest, there wasn't much. We've got this LG2 American Eagle. Although I could not tell you for the life of me what year it was made in, even though our serial number says 2015 and it's way too early to be calling new cars the next year's model only 4 months into the year. But no, the reason I wanted to share this one was because it looks like it's got some pretty interesting figuring in the neck. But that's the best photo we got of that. Except for maybe this one where they show there's some impressions on the side. And then lastly, this G-Rider EC. Usually spruce tops are very uniform, like they'll have some figuring and dancing to it. And granted, I don't look at tons of acoustics, but I've never seen one have such wavy figuring to it. It definitely caught my attention as being different. On top of that, I really appreciate this photo. So we can see our sound port over here, which is what the whole G series is known for. But this photo is hilarious to me because normally you have to get the sound hole sticker going through the sound hole, but these particular guitars have a different option that's just so artistically pleasing. And with those cool photography skills, we're gonna call it an end. Thank you Troglodytes for tuning in today, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.